Dr. Richard Curtis, and I'm a member of the steering committee of 9/11 Truth Seattle. I first met our featured speaker as a student at the School of Religion at Claremont Graduate University. When I arrived in Claremont, Dr. David Ray Griffin was world famous as a theologian and an authority on the school of theology called Process. I found him to be engaging and compelling, a deeply thoughtful figure, and rigorous in his academic work. As a professor at the Claremont School of Theology and at Claremont Graduate University for 30 years, Dr. Griffin was also a co-director of the Center for Process Studies, and somehow found the time to publish dozens and dozens of articles and to write or edit 25 books. He's retired from teaching now, and the book that he will discuss this evening is his 32nd. Around the time I finished my coursework and moved up here, something horrible happened in the world that changed many lives, including eventually his. Over time and through a series of chance encounters with difficult information, he resolved to look into the allegations that were being made that what happened that day was not what we were told. During his last year before retiring, these investigations led him to write his first book on the subject, The New Pearl Harbor. And his writing that book led me to take seriously these questions. I knew Dr. Griffin to be the sort of person who is careful with details and not given to wild speculation. That book changed my life, and most of you here probably have some sort of story to tell about what brought you to ask those difficult questions, and even more so to face the disturbing answers that follow. In the last couple of years, a few official and unofficial bodies have attempted to argue that Dr. Griffin and what has come to be called the 9/11 Truth Movement are mistaken. And they've attempted to explain how what we were told is possible, in spite of the obvious impossibilities identified by various researchers over the years. Tonight, Dr. Griffin will reply to those critics of the Truth Movement. And now, it's my pleasure to present to you Dr. David Ray Griffin, author of the new book, Debunking 9/11 Debunking, an answer to popular mechanics and other defenders of the official conspiracy theory. Dr. Griffin.
Good evening. I'm glad to be speaking here in Washington, the state in which I was born a few years ago. I am, in fact, old enough to remember a popular song called "Let's Get Physical." Shortly after that song came out, it was very popular. A friend of mine, knowing my philosophical proclivities, gave me a button to wear to parties saying, "Let's get metaphysical." Now that I've been involved in the 9/11 Truth Movement for several years, I have a new plea. Let's get empirical. And that's the title of my lecture tonight, 9/11, Let's Get Empirical. The reason I make this plea is explained in the first page of my new book, Debunking 9/11 Debunking. I begin by saying the evidence that 9/11 was an inside job is overwhelming. Most people who examine this evidence with an open mind find it convincing. The only problem is to get people, especially journalists, to examine this evidence. Many of them believe that they need not do this because they already know that the claim that it was an inside job is false. As a result, many journalists, whether writing for the New York Times or the Guardian or the Progressive or the Nation, have pontificated about 9/11 while revealing that they know virtually nothing about the relevant facts. The question about what happened on 9/11 can be answered responsibly, however, only on the basis of a knowledge of these facts. And yet many journalists, like many other people, have used various means to avoid getting empirical about 9/11. One way to avoid getting empirical relies on an ambiguity in the term conspiracy theory. There are two main theories about what happened on 9/11. According to the government's theories, the attacks were planned by members of Al-Qaeda under the inspiration of Osama bin Laden. According to the alternative theory, the attacks were orchestrated or at least assisted by forces within our own government. Many people, including many journalists, assume that the 9/11 truth movement's theory can be dismissed a priori because it is a conspiracy theory. But a conspiracy, says my dictionary, is an agreement to perform together an illegal, treacherous, or evil act. To hold a conspiracy theory about some event is, therefore, simply to believe that that event arose out of such an agreement. This is, we can say, the generic meaning of conspiracy theory. Given this generic meaning of the term, we are conspiracy theorists if we believe individuals have conspired to rob banks, that oil companies have conspired with scientists for hire to conceal the reality of human-caused global warming, or if we believe that American presidents have conspired with members of their administration to fabricate pretexts for going to war. In other words, once we get empirical about the term conspiracy theory, we realize we're all conspiracy theorists. Announcing that one rejects conspiracy theories has become almost a reflex action. But we would be more honest if we, with Michael Moore, would say, now, I'm not into conspiracy theories, except for those that are true. In spite of the obviousness of this point, many journalists follow propagandists in using the term conspiracy theory as an accusation. We can call this the propagandistic meaning of the term. Those who use the term in this propagandistic way ignore its generic meaning. They thereby equate theories as such, conspiracy theories as such, with a particular type of conspiracy theory, that is, the ones that are irrational, unscientific, kooky. Now, there are certainly many conspiracy theories of that nature. But our newspapers and TV news programs reveal some new conspiracy almost every day as a fact. So it is dishonest. It is pure propaganda to imply that all conspiracy theories are unworthy of belief. Those who use the term in this propagandistic way against the 9/11 truth movement never point out that the government's theory, which they endorse, is also a conspiracy theory. That the only difference between the two theories is the identity of the conspirators. For example, Jim Dwyer of the New York Times wrote a story entitled, "Two U.S. Reports Seek to Counter Conspiracy Theories About 9/11. A more accurate title would have been, "Two U.S. Reports Say Government's Conspiracy Theory is Better Than Alternative Conspiracy Theory." In an essay entitled, "Enough of 9/11 Conspiracy Theories Already,"